We'd like to sincerely thank our Patreon supporters.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I am in the driveway of the house, and it's a beautiful sunny day. But the entire day is not going to be a beautiful sunny day because tonight is the coldest night so far of the year. And I mean drastically colder than any night we've seen so far. I don't believe we've broke out of the 60s, maybe high 50s already. But tonight is 37 degrees. That's stinking cold for South Florida. We do get colder sometimes, but we've been really easing into a warm winter, and then all of a sudden, it's crazy. It's 80-something degrees out. How is it going to be 30-something tonight? That is a massive drop in temperature. I didn't even think I was going to roll the driveway animals out this morning, and I mean, it's probably like 10:30, 11 right now, and I was like, it's too beautiful of a day to deny him that sun. So I got him out in the driveway, but there is a lot to do today to get ready for tonight. We have 3 females that are in the process of laying eggs. I don't mean that they're laying today. They might be, but they are at that point where they are all day long working on their lay box, digging, trying to find that perfect humidity and temperature. And you know, the problem is that we have heat to their lay box, but do you pull them out of their lay box and put them into their hide box and lock them in there, or do you lock them in the lay box? Those are the things that we have to decide when we feel, I mean, I know what 30-something degrees feels like, but it also depends if it's being driven by wind and everything else. So we're going to play that by ear this evening. I'm going to sneak into the shop and show you what I'm going to work on first, because the reptile room is under construction. Kagan's F-150 was supposed to have already left for paint shop. It hasn't left yet. I said that as soon as it leaves, I was going to pull everything out of the reptile room, finish the insulation and drywall it, and get it done. But her truck is still here. I really don't have a lot of room to move everything out of that room, so it's going to be a lot of moving stuff and insulating. I won't be able to do the drywall just yet. But here is my first problem. The vent fan. That is an electronic thermostat controlled fan that in the summertime pulls the excess heat out of that room when it gets too hot. The insulation was helping that. We're only maybe halfway done with insulation, and it was already doing a great job, you know, and there's so many other projects going on. I knew that I was going to finish that project once the truck was gone, and then I could empty most of the room and do it all that way. But now I just got to do it. Second problem, the styrofoam that I was going to use to build a box on the reptile room side, sorry, I'm opening a door with my other hand, is gone. I looked around, I'm like, where the heck is this styrofoam at? Kagan's been using it to build her terrariums. So she found a nice stash of styrofoam sheets, and she's like, perfect. So I got to go buy some styrofoam so I can build a box around that. Even when it's drywalled, if I have a little box that maybe French cleats up there, and I don't know, just can mount to that wall easily during the winter and then easily be removed and stored, would be great. And that would stop the air leaking out from there. All this will be finished drywalled later, guys. This is as far as I made it with the insulation. So I need to move stuff around on the shelves to get to those upper cells and just start doing them. Oh, you saw that? The wind blew and it let a puff of air in there. Imagine if it was doing that and letting 35, 37 degree air in here. That would be a serious problem. So this is my project, to get it insulated, that wall, and then all the way to here. So I got a lot to do. This room is way messier than it should be, but I mean, it's part of the process sometimes. As you guys seen, I have cleaned up other areas, like just outside this door. If you guys remember what this looked like last month, aside from the new screen sitting here and some wire that I displaced yesterday, this room is a lot neater than it was. Heat pads are going through, insulation for the walls, some more wire screen. It's a lot cleaner, and that room will be too soon. I'm gonna get started. I'm not gonna bore you guys with a lot of the details in there. That's pretty basic. I'll show you it when it's done, because the more interesting stuff is obviously with the animals outside. All right, guys, it's later in the day. I've been cutting insulation. It's starting to mess with my sinuses all day long, but I have it completely done to right there. I have the uppers done, minus I think 2 cells behind those blankets, and I have all of those walls, everything down there, all the way around to right there. So I really just have behind her vision cages. So 1 more pack of insulation will be done. I'm not going to get that done tonight, but the temperatures are already dropping. So this room is insanely warmer than outside. It always seems to be the opposite of outside, but when you get into the morning, say 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, it would be cool in here and hot outside. So like I said, it's always the opposite. What we need to do is just run a space heater on a thermostat in here, which we have, and with this insulation, it will hold the temperature much better. Now, when I get that last pack of insulation, I'll be able to purchase first dozen or so sheets of drywall. And I discussed with Kagan, I'm going to take all the shelving down. Drywall, green board for the first, I think we have like 10.5-foot ceilings. So first 2.5 feet, and then do drywall the rest. Green board, if you didn't know, is a water resistant drywall board. So I'll be able to do that on the lower. And why not just redo all this stuff? I could reuse a lot of the lumber, all the lumber, and make it clean and nice and everything. And again, solid, clean, white cabinetry with everything hidden, extra shelves, better lighting in here, clean drywall, workstation counter, cabinetry, and we may do the shelving and cabinetry over the door, but have no upper shelving here. That way enclosures can go higher. And Kagan said that she wants to narrow her snake collection down to her favorites and get rid of a lot of these cages, because I think she would like a lot of her terrarium builds to be beautifully set up in here. And we'll paint the floor and all that good stuff. It'll be a nice finished reptile room. So my next concern is this fan. And I think the tonight solution is to just unscrew the fan from the box, tack it onto that header board right there, because it is somewhat wired in. When I wire this wall, it will have its dedicated outlet with thermostat up there, because right now it runs down to a thermostat over here. We'll be able to have that electrically next to it. And what I'll build is an insulated box that goes over that in the winter, maybe on a French cleat or something, that we can quickly put it up there and quickly remove it when we want to. But if I just took the fan down, hung it there for now, screwed some 3/4 plywood over the opening, when I permanently do it, it will have an insulated value, not just a sheet of plywood, but that'll be fine for tonight. We went colder last year with no insulation in the heater, and it didn't get too cold. It definitely got colder than we wanted, but it didn't get too cold. Now, let's walk outside, because it looks pretty dark in there. We still have plenty of daylight. Maybe, I don't know, 2.5 more hours. So if I can quickly get that done, we can walk through the enclosures, start putting animals away, and make decisions on what we're going to do with those females. All right, so that's it for in here. Like I said, the fan is just tacked out of place. That'll all get drywalled and trimmed out and everything, and then I will make a box for it. But for now, that's out of place, and I won't have any issues with that right now. And I can address that after this little cold snap. Now it's time to get out of this room, put a sweatshirt on, and go handle the animals outside. All right, so step 1 is actually in the front driveway, moving all the animals that I moved out this morning from the driveway into the garage. Any of the lights on the young monitors enclosures, we leave them on. The garage doors, Kagan is moving some of her more vulnerable plants, soft plants, And we'll probably move some into the front porch or whatever area later this evening, but she's going to move some of the small ones in, closing the garage door, leaving those couple heat lamps on, and that will hold enough heat in for tonight. Obviously, she'll have a wireless thermostat running in there just to keep an eye on it. But we know it was warm enough from previous years. So I'm going to jump in and help her. All right, so last step in here. Oh, you're going to get any dust off of it?
Yeah.
So she's hooked the space heater up to that very same thermostat, and it'll sit in the middle of the room. We have the, what do you call that Wi-Fi thermostat?
Oh,
the
sensor push.
Sensor push. That will read the temperatures in the room.
Yeah.
And it's nowhere near the heater. In fact, it's all the way across the room by that blue roll of tape.
I've got two, actually. I've
Oh.
got one that reads this side of the room, and the other should be right here.
Perfect. Very smart. So we should be good in here. Now we're running out to the outdoor enclosures. All right, guys. So going into the very first enclosure, this is Kagan's favorite of the young female sulfurs, BB. You see the digs, the test digs all over the enclosure. And this is her lay box. When they're not laying, we take the lid off and we set it on top of their hide box now so they don't use it as a hide box. But when we know that they're digging to lay, we move it back. Now, Kagan thinks that where she saw her biggest tunnel, it is,
Let's see if I can turn the brightness up and you can see. So that's where she was digging this morning. You can see her butt sticking out.
So all of that is reburied. So Kagan seems to think that maybe her clutch is in the ground. And she's also in her hide box and not in the lay box, which is a great sign.
Yeah.
So we will probably put a board and a cinder block in front of her hide box to trap her in there, just in case. And she's going to dig them up because we don't want eggs, even if they're next to the heat mat, in there overnight on a night this cold. Yeah. All right, so now walking into Raven's enclosure. So Raven is our female black dragon who's been breeding with Sammy, and now she is close to laying eggs. Let's see her lay box dug up, big holes in the corners. That heat mat is on. But that heat mat is using a power source that we are going to have to turn on tonight because it's technically using the upper heat mat's outlet. So we need to plug that in, which actually gave me a thought because we need to go plug every heat mat in. Woo! Sandhill cranes, guys, flying over us. So what we have to do is prevent that female from walking out of her hide box and into that lay box tonight. So what Kagan is going to do is block her in to her hide box because she's one of the few monitors that may have the drive to do something tonight. The rest of them are going to be totally content with their warmth. Okay, so we don't have to worry about her going into her lay box tonight. We'll let her out first thing in the morning. Kagan dug up that other lay box with BB. What probably happened is BB explored another hole and buried the hole that looked like the one she was going to use. So that's why it was filled in. So, but you know, this is what happens with our big outdoor lay boxes. You almost dig them up 2 or 3 times before you find the eggs because you don't want to leave them in there in case it rains or it gets too cold. It's just one of the things that we have to deal with that you wouldn't have to deal with if you were keeping indoors. So Kagan has blocked BB into her hide box. As you see, the board is screwed in there. Oh, she's getting access to the cord back there. And there are 8 more enclosures in these 2 rows that we need to do that. So I should probably put the camera down and help out again. So we'll be right back. So as usual, Kagan made a very good point that when she went to plug in the upper heat mat where Sammy is, Sammy only has a lower heat mat. This was Drago's enclosure, and it only had one on that. I don't know what the mat was used for before, but Drago was in this enclosure, and it was only during the summertime. So this is one that was skipped over when we did all of our winter preparedness, because there wasn't going to be an animal in here for winter, and then we moved Sammy in. So there's no time to do anything about it. So Sammy is getting unplugged, and I've got the hand truck right there, and we'll just bring Sammy into the reptile room for tonight. And tomorrow I will work on one of the other larger hide boxes, because Sammy is a larger, can you believe a large male black dragon can fit in a 2x2 box? But they like a small spot. So that lizard is curled up in there, and that's what they like. They feel safer. And honestly, it makes a more secure box and less air in there to warm, so it makes it more efficient. So it's actually a very good size box for most monitors. I would say Sammy is about 5 foot long. So there's a 5 foot black dragon in that little box there. It doesn't have to be a giant box. So good thing Kagan remembered about Sammy. I got Sammy into the reptile room. She went and she started walking into rows 3 and 4, and I was like, I already checked those. But why not check them again? When it's animals' lives at stake, it's worth checking and double checking. All the upper heat mats were plugged in for all the animals in rows 3 and 4. So we're good. We're prepared. It feels freezing. For a day that it was stinking hot and I was sweating while I was working today, it feels like it's in the 40s. It's actually only 60 degrees. I think the Weather Channel says it feels like 58. No, it feels like it's 40 degrees. It feels stinking cold.
It feels
because
cold.
we haven't felt this cold in a long time. But we've done this. We've been here. We're not worried about any animals tonight. But that's kind of the rush you have to do. You have to think about all the females out there first and where they're at. Because if a female's in the lay box and she's digging and she's ready to lay, she's not going to want to leave that lay box. So then we have to think about securing her in there and making sure she's warm enough. And it's all slatted, which creates a scary situation. Really, a movable lay box would make more sense and get that whole thing, the animal and everything, out of there. But maybe that's disturbing them. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of other layers to keeping them outdoors that have to be considered on nights like this. Yeah. Or rainy nights. Or, there's always so much more. I think that's it. We're losing daylight. We're going to go in and fix some dinner. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hype that video. We'll see you guys soon. Oh,
Ring that notification bell.
and don't forget to check in to Trap Talk tomorrow night. We'll see you there.